On September 22nd, a low-pressure system that had been hovering over the Pacific Ocean off of the California coast swept inland. The storm crossed the Cascade Mountains and the Columbia Plateau before pushing through Sandpoint, Idaho. Temperatures that day plunged 20 degrees Fahrenheit compared to the day before. Clouds obscured the mountains as a cool autumn rain fell. And 3 days after the storm, a small bird from the vast offshore waters of the Pacific Ocean was seen near Sandpoint. The bird was an ancient murrelet, and this is its story. More specifically, this is the story of the ancient murrelet I didn't see and the shallow inland lake where it briefly appeared. And both of these stories, the bird and the place, are remarkable ones. Hi, I'm Shane Sater, author of the What's Going On Out There blog. This reading is from September 27th, 2022. It's titled, To Glimpse an Ancient Murrelet. If you're a more visual person and want to follow along with text and photos while you listen, you can also find this story on my website, what'sgoingonblog.org. So now, let's continue with the story. Part 1. An Ancient Murrelet at MacArthur Lake. My friend River Corcoran, an avid birder and skilled naturalist, found the murrelet early on the morning of September 25th. Check out his Birding with River Corcoran YouTube channel. As soon as he saw it fly past and land on the western side of MacArthur Lake, he knew it was something unique. Fortunately, even though he wasn't specifically looking for birds, he had his camera with him. River's photos were unmistakable. The bird was an ancient murrelet, blown far inland. Ancient murrelets are small, hardy diving birds of the open ocean. They nest on land, digging burrows on northern Pacific islands such as the Aleutians. But within 3 days of hatching, the chicks return to the sea. Accompanied by their parents, they swim for miles and miles, traveling far from the nesting islands. They dive to feed, catching small fish and shrimp-like euphasiid crustaceans. So, on September 27th, River and I were back, hoping to get another look at the murrelet. MacArthur Lake Wildlife Management Area, 18 miles north of Sandpoint, is a stunning habitat for wetland birds. It's an extensive, shallow lake, the water crowded with pondweed, Potamogeton species, and other aquatic vegetation. A large marsh of cattails, Typha species, hardstem bulrush, Schonoplectus acutus, and arrowhead, Sagittaria species, surrounds the open water. Around this marsh, there are alders, cottonwoods, and western red cedars. It's a much wetter landscape than the Helena Valley, where red cedars don't even grow, and the marshes blend into greasewood flats and dry grassland. Part 2. Searching MacArthur Lake. Our search to re-find the ancient murrelet this morning was unsuccessful. But in the process, we got to explore this habitat thoroughly and ponder how a murrelet showed up here. American coots were the dominant birds here on this fall day. And by dominant, I mean 2,600 of them, dabbling their ivory bills in the water and nodding their heads rhythmically as they swam. At one point, we watched a young bald eagle circling the lake. A raft of 500 coots took off, pattering across the water as they distanced themselves from the raptor. We heard a few late-migrating common yellowthroats making their chack calls from the cattails, where the occasional flock of red-winged blackbirds would erupt with an outburst of calls. Among all of the coots, we spotted small groups of American widgeons and gadwalls. A belted kingfisher stopped to perch, chattering, along one edge of the marsh. We watched a few pied-billed grebes, brown with very triangular heads, diving among the coots. As a breeze picked up out of the north, we let it push us down the lake. We checked the coves along the west side, where River had spotted the ancient murrelet 2 days before. But it wasn't there this morning. Nor was it among the lily pads and the complex watery trails at the south end of the lake. Here, instead, we found large patches of a feathery green plant emerging from the water. The plant was striking, a species I hadn't seen around Helena. I collected a sample and identified it. Common mare's tail, Hippurus vulgaris, is a tiny flowered plant that looks like a massive moss. Emerging from shallow wetlands, it seems almost tropical, reminiscent of dinosaurs and giant cycads. And here at MacArthur Lake, it's another notable part of the wetland system that supports thousands of coots and ducks, along with the occasional, completely unexpected murrelet. Part 3. Among the coots. We checked the east edge of the lake on our way back, fighting the wind. We scanned the massive coot flocks, looking for a tiny, gray seabird with a crisp white collar, but we found nothing. It's no wonder. It's extremely rare to find this ocean bird inland. In fact, this is only the 5th time that birders have documented one in the state of Idaho. Across North America, the smattering of inland records of ancient murrelets seem to peak in March and October to November. And according to ornithologist Nicholas Verbeek, the appearance of ancient murrelets far inland seems to coincide with low-pressure systems sweeping east from the Pacific. So was it the storm that hit Sandpoint on September 22nd that brought this seabird to Idaho? The wind was blowing in our faces as we paddled the last stretch back to the dock. We hadn't refound the murrelet, but we were happy. Just to know that it was here, on this very lake, 2 days ago, was pretty special. And then River spotted something strange in the water on our right, a boxy shape, too square for a duck. It was a head, silvery gray, with 2 small, rounded ears. An otter! It dove before we could get good photos. But as we let the canoe drift, it surfaced again near the cattails. Another dive, another brief glimpse at us, and then it was gone, back into its watery world. Part 4. Ancient Murrelets and Wonder. What are the chances of standing along a beautiful marsh and finding a bird that should be on the open ocean, 600 miles away, across 3 mountain ranges and a desert of wheat? River Corcoran's ancient murrelet sighting is the sort of story that can remind us all to stop, look, and wonder at all of the amazing goings-on around us. It's no wonder we didn't find it again this morning. It is, after all, an incredibly rare bird to find this far inland. But almost any time we go out into a wetland, curious and ready to learn about the creatures we share this place with, we're guaranteed to make some interesting connections. Today, it was the 2,600 coots, dabbling for tiny plants during their migration. It was the sight of a flock of widgeons against the Selkirk Mountains, the gift of a river otter, and getting to know the common mare's tail. So if you need to remember what it is to wonder, spend a morning in a wetland near you. Bring a friend, your curiosity, and perhaps a pair of binoculars. You probably won't find an ancient murrelet, but it's always possible, and you're sure to find something special. Thanks for listening. That's all for now. Again, you can find all of this material in written form, along with lots of photos, on my website, whatsgoingonblog.org. That's also where you can sign up for email updates when new stories are published. And if you'd like to join those generous folks who make my work possible, that's also where you can find my Patreon page and make a monthly donation. I believe in making these stories available to everyone, so a donation is never expected. But if you're in a place where you can give me that support, it's a huge help. Until next time, get outside. Watch the marshes around you for ancient murrelets, coots, and whatever else may show up as fall migration progresses.